Hey, how's it going, everyone? It is 10:19 p.m. on Tuesday, March 19th, 2024. Current temperature is 54 degrees. We got one more surprise cold front for the year. Tonight's low is 47, and then that's it. So, tomorrow's low is about 55. Next night's about 63. Next night's about 71. And then 70s from then on. So, this is the last one. It might go into like the upper 50s like one more time. Maybe in like the first week of April or something. But this is the last of the 40s. It's getting kind of hot there for the last bunch of days. It was like 95 degrees. That's like 10 days in a row. Anyway, so I'm still here. I feel like I did one of these not too long ago, like maybe a week ago or so. Not very long. But yeah, so I just got back from the gala. That was this past weekend. It was a lot of fun. I went alone. I didn't bring a plus one because I couldn't decide who to bring. And yeah, I flew up with Chai and his girlfriend, and I flew back on the same plane as Tyson, but I didn't actually see him. And yeah, it was an experience. I mean, it was my first time being out of Florida by myself. It's my first time being in an airport and on a plane by myself. It was my first time. Well, it wasn't my first time staying in a hotel by myself, but it was the first time like using my ID in my name, because you gotta, be 21 to check in. I guess it was all right. I'm like 5 weeks away. I don't know. I feel like a few of them will let you at 18, but the majority of them, from my experience, are 21. But yeah, so a lot of firsts. Let's see what happened. Well, first of all, the flight up got delayed 2 hours. We're supposed to leave at 7:16 a.m. and ended up leaving at 9:20 something. So luckily, I got notified at like midnight, so I slept in a little bit more. I had my alarm set for 5 a.m. initially, but I ended up sleeping till about 6:45, which is still, earlier than I would normally get up. And of course, I had trouble sleeping that night because I tried to knock myself out artificially at like 10:30, because I knew that I'd have to get up early for the flight. And whenever I do anything that disrupts my circadian rhythm, my body rebels. So when I try to force sleep when it's not time yet, when my body's not ready yet, then it's just not good. So I was in this like light sleep, like very barely asleep, not really. I didn't get like any REM at all, really, maybe like an hour. But I was just tossing and turning for like 7 hours. And so I got up at 6:45 and texted Chai, see what he wanted to do, because we were supposed to go to the airport together. So he had me meet him at his place, which is only a few minutes away. It was like 7 or 8 minutes away. And so I drove over there. I just got up, I put on clothes, and I got in the car because I already had my bag packed. What I did, since it's only one night, I didn't even bring a suitcase. I just brought this sack, this travel sack. I used the Men's Warehouse bag that the tux came in. I bought a tux this year instead of renting it, but I got it the week before, and it comes in this package that they give you, and there was a lot of empty space, and I realized like, well, this bag's small enough to where I can just carry it on. I won't have to claim it and pay money and stuff. So and wait in another line. So I was like, well, yeah, let me just put everything in here because it's really all I need is one change of clothes, my phone charger, headphones, and like my toothbrush and deodorant and stuff. That's about it. So I just put it in with the tux, and I just brought that. So um, so yeah, so I already had that packed the night before. So I met Shai at his place around 7, and then he ordered an Uber for us. We figured we'd share an Uber, because it's the same price anyway, so there's no sense each getting one. So we got to the airport about like 7:20, and it wasn't too bad. I mean, this is 4 times now that I've been on a plane and through the airport process, and everybody like makes such a big deal out of it, like this long, arduous, stressful thing. But all 4 of my experiences have been pretty smooth and reasonable. We waited like 5, maybe 10 minutes in line for security, and then let's see. No, we didn't get food actually. Well, they had to wait because they had like a few bags, so they had to wait in like 2 extra lines. But we still got to the boarding thing early before they started boarding. So, but yeah. So we got on the plane. I love flying, man. I love planes. That's my favorite mode of transportation now. It's just so cool. It would be like a 20-hour drive, or it's like a 17-hour drive to New Jersey, but to fly it's only 2 hours. It's just so cool, and it's like you way up in the sky, above the clouds, above everything. You don't need to worry about traffic or anything. It's like the only thing is turbulence, but there wasn't really a lot of it. I guess I've gotten lucky in that regard. All 4 planes I've been on, there wasn't really a whole lot of turbulence. I guess maybe it'd be a different experience if there was. But it's like a launch coaster. You're taking off on the runway, and then landing is like arguably even more scary because you're going down. And as soon as the wheels hit the pavement, it's like whoa. But it's fun. I like it, and I took a lot of pictures and videos. It was just fascinating to me. It's like such a unique experience. I'm sure I'll get over it eventually, but since I'm still new to flying, I was just looking out the window the whole time. Everyone around me was like watching movies and had their headphones in or trying to take a nap or whatever. But I was just looking out the window the whole time. And it has this map thing too on the screen where it shows where the plane is like in real time as it moves, and I would zoom in and look at it, and it shows like the speed and the altitude and the estimated time of arrival. It shows the flight path, and it's like, I guess most people would think that's boring, but I was just fascinated by it. So I was just watching that and then looking out the window and then looking back at the thing, and so I didn't even get up out of my seat the whole time. But yeah, so then we landed, and we got an Uber right to the hotel. Yeah, we just went right to the hotel. We landed at like noon, or a little before noon. Got to the hotel about 12:30. Then and we ordered food. We had that delivered. We ate till about 1 o'clock. Then we went to Chai's room, hung out for a little bit, maybe like an hour, and then I went to my room and just kind of didn't really do much. Then the gala started at 5. So I met at Chai's room first, to show him my tux and get everything. It turns out I forgot my bow tie. I opted for the bow tie rather than the regular tie because it's easier. And I don't like dress clothes. In case you didn't already know that, I'm not a big fan. I'm not a big fan of clothes in general, but I like to keep it simple when it comes to clothing. But so I had the bow tie, and apparently I thought it was all in the same bag. I never even opened the bag that had the tux in it, so I just assumed it was all together. But apparently, and I just found this out today actually when I was cleaning my apartment, the bow tie was in a separate pouch that was in a different bag that was next to that one, and it was camouflaged in because it's the same color as the table it was on. So I forgot to bring it because I didn't realize it was a separate thing. So then when I got to the hotel and I was unpacking, I was putting the tux on. I was like, "Where's the bow tie?" And I didn't have it. So I was like, "Well, it's too late now. So might as well just ride it out." But nobody said anything, or I definitely looked disheveled. I couldn't figure out the collar and the pants. The thing broke when I was trying to put it on. The buckle thing that goes is like a golden clip, and it's like as soon as I touched it, it broke off. So like my fly was open, and it didn't even have belt hooks to put a belt on. So I just had to put my shirt over it. And now everybody was like, "Oh, you should tuck in your shirt." I'm like, "Oh no," So I just put the shirt over it. And like I couldn't figure out the buttons, and it was always uneven and stuff. It was just too much to keep track of. It's unnecessary, I think. I'd rather just wear regular clothes. But I made it work, and nobody said anything. But yeah, so then we did the gala. I ended up it was assigned seating. I ended up being at the same table as Chai anyway. And as soon as it started, like it's in this ballroom, and it's in this same hotel, it's in the same building. The ballroom's on the second floor, the lobby's the first floor. They had some catering and stuff there too, and then the rooms are on. The third floor is like the pool and the gym and stuff, and the sauna. And then floor 4 and up is rooms. So I was on the 9th floor, and Chai was on the 10th floor. And so you just take the elevator down, and then you're right there. So that was cool too. How you can go just back and forth so quickly. So we in the ballroom. Once they opened the doors at 5 o'clock, we got in the awards starts at 5:30. So it was about 30 minutes of just kind of mingling, everybody finding their table and whatever. And as soon as I sit down, Chai hands me this roll of tickets, and the tickets they're drink tickets. So we have Chai and I kind of have this like tab system going where like I'll pay for something and then he'll pay for something, and then so it's like I paid for all the Ubers. So he was like, "Okay, you pay for the Ubers, and when we get there, I'll buy you some drink tickets." And I was like, "Okay," because drink tickets are like $14, $16. There's different colors depending. There's one for beer, there's one for wine, there's one for mixed drinks. There's like 4 of them, so I don't know what exactly they were, but he gave me the one that was like the highest tier ones, I guess the mixed drinks. And he gave me this roll of like 3 or 4 tickets. And he drops them off at the table in front of me when we sit down. So I was like, okay, well, I guess we're drinking tonight then. So then I go redeem the tickets at the bar. I got my first drink. I know I ended up having 7 drinks over the course of the night, because then after I used the tickets, I bought one or two more. Um, but yeah, so I was pretty buzzed by like 2 hours in. But I was also mindful from the last experience, so I didn't overdo it. Shy did. He was like throwing up and stuff, but I showed some self control. But anyway, yeah. So the awards was good. The owner of the company gave a speech like every year, and it was food. It wasn't as much food as I remember, but it was like 2 courses and a dessert. But yeah, it was all right. And then yeah, the ceremony was over by like 8:30, so it was about 3 hours, and then they just opened up the dance floor. The DJ came out, and then they had catering like outside the ballroom on the floor. They had like food and stuff. Um, so it was just like an open thing for people to just mingle and drink and eat and dance and whatever. The dance floor wasn't very crowded though. I, I was on there for like 5 or 10 minutes trying to get it going, but nobody really bid on it. Well, then we took some pictures because they had different like backdrops and stuff. So I got pictures with the outreach team with Chai and Will and Vinny, who's a Tampa rep who's been there as long as I have, and then I ran into Tyson too. I didn't run into him till like 9 o'clock, but I finally did. He was there with his wife. So then we took pictures together for direct, and I looked at the pictures afterwards, and I do look pretty hammered in those pictures, but I remember taking them like I never like blacked out at any point. Like I remember the whole night, but I was definitely loose for sure. But yeah, so over the course of the night, I had 7 drinks. I think I had 2 old fashions and then 3 vodka cranberries. Cause I think the three tickets I used 2 old fashions, and then I did I did an old fashioned vodka cranberry and another old fashioned, and then I bought another I guess 2 more vodka cranberries I bought. So 3 and 2, and then I ended up finding a full drink on a table that I guess was a rum and coke is what it tasted like at least. It's not like I stole somebody's drink. I mean, I was watching it for like an hour. It was there full on the table, and I knew like someone was just gonna throw it away, so I figured don't let it go to waste. But it was definitely abandoned. And then toward the end, I found a beer. Bottled beer, like a Corona or something, on another table. Same situation. It had been there for like an hour, and there was nobody at the table, and it was pretty much full. It was maybe like 2 sips out of it. So then I drank that. So that's a pretty good deal, man. 7 drinks, and I only paid for 2 of them. But yeah. So, who did I meet? I met Lance Rich, the VP of sales. He actually knew me here. Like I introduced myself. He didn't recognize my face, but when I told him my name, he was like, "Oh, you're Joshua." He's like, "Yeah, we've been talking about you." He's like, "I'm glad to finally put a face to the name." I was like, "Well, there's no way. You know me?" He's like, "Yeah, man. Tyson talks about you all the time." I was like, "Oh, wow." So we had a really deep conversation, and he gave me a lot of like advanced tips and best practices and inspiration, things like that. But he's a really cool guy. And then who else? I saw Dan again. It was very briefly though. He was there with his wife and whoever. I got to see some of the higher ups from Outreach, Marco Castro, Andrew Raposo. I didn't see Chris Gardner or Julie. I didn't see either of them. I didn't see Julie last year either, which is strange because she lives very close by. But I talked to Will a little bit, not a whole lot, but we exchanged maybe 5 sentences. Uh, and then Tyson, I ran into him a couple times, but all in the last like hour. But yeah, it was pretty uneventful. I mean, especially since I was there by myself, you know, I didn't really get into it as much as last year. I was there with Brad, I was just kind of riffing with Brad the whole time. But just being there myself was just a little bit more awkward because pretty much everybody that I saw had a +1. So I was really the only one that didn't. It was probably like a few people, but the vast majority of +1s. So that was another thing that separated me. And it's also just this weird period of time right now because the metrics for the invite for the gala are based on Q4, and I was in outreach in Q4, and that's how I got my invitation by getting 50 demos in Q4. So that's what everybody expects me to like talk about and introduce myself as, an outreach rep. And I tell them I'm in direct. I just transferred over in January. I don't have any awards. I don't even have any installs yet. They're scheduled for April. I only closed 4 deals so far, so that's nothing too impressive yet. But it's just this awkward like transition phase where it's like I'm not an outreach rep anymore, but I'm not really like, yeah, I'm a direct rep, but everybody knows me as outreach, so it's like I knew more of the outreach people than I did the direct people, so I just felt this like weird, like this weird disconnection where I don't really fit in with either group. So but so I didn't do a whole lot of talking. I mostly just sat with the people at my table during the awards, and then afterwards I just did some laps, got some drinks, ate some food. That's about it. I would just say hi to people, shake hands, but I didn't really have conversations with. Oh, I did. I got to meet Tommy Pollock, the owner of the company. I didn't even think he was mingling with people because I didn't see him at all last year, but I got a selfie with him. I was pretty drunk in the selfie, so I hope he didn't report me or anything. But yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, so I don't really remember what I said. I was like, hey, I always wanted to meet you. You're a great guy, very inspirational. Can I get a picture with you or something like that? It wasn't too intense. But yeah, and then I remember I sat outside for a little bit, waited in the lobby for a little bit, and then I ended up just going back to my room pretty early at like 10 o'clock, and I brought some of the free water bottles from the catering up there with me because there wasn't any water in the room, and I knew I was going to need it for the night. And I'd been up since 6:30 a.m. on not a lot of sleep anyway, so of course I was tired. And I was already like drunk, so I didn't, you know what I mean? Like, there were different people would get in different groups. There were like cliques of people that would go do something or go over here, and they would go to after parties. Like Chai said he was out till 5 a.m. at an after party, and I didn't even see. He disappeared at like 9 o'clock or 9:30. I didn't see him after that, so I don't know if he went right from there. But the main reason, if I'm being honest, that I didn't like want to go to after party was because I knew like anywhere they went was going to be 21 plus, and they were probably going to card me, and I didn't want to spend $40 on an Uber to not be able to get in and then be stuck there waiting outside for hours. It's like I didn't want to take that chance. So that's the main reason. But also it's just not money. I would probably end up spending a bunch of money that I really don't have right now. And, it's just not really my scene anyway. I didn't really know as many of the people. It didn't really blend in. I don't know. I guess I could have tried. Well, no, Chai said that it was 21 plus and they did card everyone, so I would have got burned if I would have tagged along. But I mean, he overdid it anyway. He definitely regretted it the next day. I saw him the next morning, and he was in rough shape. He said it was puke all over his hotel room and stuff. So, yeah. But anyway, so I went back to my room at like 10 o'clock, and turn all the lights off, turn the AC down all the way, and just fell into bed. But I remember I had a rough time trying to sleep then too, because I had a headache and I was like drunk, and I felt like the whole transition from being drunk to being hungover, and like it felt weird being awake for that. But I fell asleep maybe by like 10:30, and I slept until like midnight, and then I woke up, and from midnight to 3 was like off and on. And then another thing too is my phone, the headphone jack wasn't working. I think it's working now, but at the time the headphone jack like wasn't what was blocked or something. So every time I would plug my headphones in, it wouldn't go in all the way, so I wouldn't be able to have my audio in. So I usually fall asleep with headphones on, listening to ASMR or podcasts or creepy pastas or music or something. But I wasn't able to do that. So I remember trying to get an audio setup. I would have my phone, I would set it on the nightstand, but then it wouldn't sound right, and I was all disoriented and just getting frustrated at it. I tried to turn the TV on, and I didn't like that, so I turned it off, and then the AC broke too. It never actually got down to 60 degrees. It got down like halfway, and then it just flashed an error message, and it was stagnant the rest of the time, and there wasn't any fan in the room. And I tried, because I like having a fan on too, for white noise as well, and so it was just completely silent. There was no fan or anything. And then it was so loud in the hallway and all the rooms, because all the people from the gala, that was like most of the hotel. So all night long, people stumbling in and around, stomping on the ground, shouting, singing, laughing, whatever. And people just hanging out in the hallways. And, I didn't have any white noise in the room to drown it out. So like every bit of sound would wake me up, because I was already in a shallow sleep. And then every time I wake up, I would be more and more hungover, and then I would have a hard time going back to sleep. And so at 3 a.m. I ended up getting out of bed and putting clothes on, and I had the rest of the food that we had ordered when we originally got to the hotel that I hadn't finished, but I forgot to take a fork with me, so I had to go back to the lobby, get a fork. Of course there was nobody at the front desk, so I had to wait a few minutes, and there were still people in the lobby, people going in and out from the after parties and whatever. And so I guess Chai was still out at that point. But so I had a fork, I go back in, I turn the lights on, I eat my food, and yeah, so I slept. So I was up from 3 to like 5:30 solid, and then I slept from 5:30 to we'll say 8:30. It's probably my longest stretch. And then Sunday I woke up at 8:30. I knew checkout was at 11, so I had to be out. Oh, also I locked my key in my room like each of the times that I went in there, so I had to go down like 4 or 5 times over the course of my one night stay to get new keys, and they never charged me for it, surprisingly. I know a lot of hotels will charge a fee for that, but especially multiple times in one night. But well, not I didn't lock them in every time. I know one of the times was because of my phone, because I accidentally put it in the same pocket as my phone and it messed up the electronics in it. So that was at least one of them. But I definitely locked them in there at least twice, I'll say, because the door is self-locking. It's not like I locked the door; it's self-locking. But so that was frustrating because then there's always a line for the elevator and you gotta wait, and I couldn't find the stairs. They were nowhere in sight, but 9 flights of stairs each way would have taken a while too. But yeah, so it was just inconvenient. But yeah, so Sunday I woke up. I was like moderately hungover, but not nearly as bad as the last time. Like I could have made it through a shift at Home Depot. It wouldn't have been fun, but I would have made it. Whereas the last time I just couldn't do anything. So eventually I went down to the Starbucks on the lobby, the first floor. Well, I used up all the coffee that they gave me for the coffee maker in the room, but it was super weak. It was like water basically. And so then I went to Starbucks. I ended up getting 2 large cappuccinos, and after the second one, I did feel better, significantly. And because it was sweet too. It's not even like just the coffee, but it's the combo of that plus the sugar in it, and it's pistachio. I got the pistachio cappuccino. And I saw Chai. He was in rough shape, and their flight was earlier. It was like 3 o'clock, so that was the last I saw of him. And then I saw Tyson again. He said he bought another room so that they can hang out in the room until the flight at like 8 o'clock. And so I was like, "Oh, that's the same flight I'm on." He's like, "Oh, did you get another?" I'm like, "No, I'm checking out at 11." And he was like, "So what are you gonna do until then?" And I was like, "Well, actually, I'm gonna go to Six Flags." Six Flags Great Adventure in New Jersey. Yeah, because I figure if I'm in New Jersey, I might as well go there. And I actually have an annual pass this year. That's the crazy part. My dad bought us both annual passes back in like August or September when they did a flash sale where he got the rest of 2023 free and all of 2024 for a ridiculously low price. It was like $99 or something. So he ended up buying us each tickets, and with the annual dining pass too for like $29, which is crazy. Where you get 2 free meals each visit, and also unlimited soft drinks all year in the season souvenir cup. So yeah, it was like, man, all expense paid trip to Six Flags. All I have to pay for is the Uber to get there from the hotel and then back to the airport. So I was like, well, that's cheaper than, because I'm really pinched for money, especially after, all that I spent Saturday. So I was like, well, I really don't want to, because I was like, that I picked the late flight on purpose so that way I would have Sunday to like do my own thing and explore the area outside of the hotel. I had a few things I was tossing around, like maybe I'd go to the Jersey Shore since that was like, 10, 20 miles away. Or maybe I'd go to New York City, which is right there next to Newark. I could see New York City from the airport. Or, I had a few things I was tossing around. I was thinking maybe Atlantic City, maybe Wildwood, maybe New York. And eventually, like, once I saw that I didn't have any money left, I was like, all right, it's got to be something, like, free, basically. And the only thing that would make sense is Six Flags, which Six Flags Great Adventure is arguably my favorite park anyway. So I knew it was going to be a good time. And I'd never been there by myself before, so that was interesting. But the Uber there ended up being $60. It was the opposite. So the airport's in Newark, at the top of New Jersey. The hotel where the gala was is Wall Township. So I was about a 20-minute Uber ride from the airport to the hotel. and that costs about $30. And then Six Flags is in Jackson Township, which is 40 miles south of Walt Township, which means it's 60 miles from the airport. So it's the opposite direction. So $30 from the airport to the hotel, $60 from the hotel to the park, and then it was $100 to go from the park to the airport. And it took almost an hour and a half. It was 20 minutes from the airport to the hotel. It was about 45 minutes from the hotel to the park, and then like an hour 15, hour 20 from the park to the airport. So I also had to be mindful, to make sure I wasn't late for my flight. But I got to the park at like 12:30, and I had to wait to get in for a little bit because I didn't have a physical pass. I only had the digital thing, and you're supposed to activate it at your home park, which we set to Georgia since that's the closest one to Florida. And so there's supposed to be like a fee but they waived the fee, so that way I could just go there for that day. But they couldn't give me a physical card, so I got to go to Georgia to get that. But I got into the park fine, and I was able to redeem my meals and my season drink cup, so I didn't have to spend any money at the park. Except I had my travel sack still with me because I had already checked out of the hotel. So I just had it with me, and obviously, it doesn't fit in the ride lockers, so I had to get an all-day locker outside the park to store it in while I was there, and that cost $20. So I did spend that. But it was pretty good. It was opening weekend. The weather was nice. It was like 65 degrees, mostly sunny. And it wasn't too crowded, but not the whole park was open though. It was only like maybe half the park. Kingda Ka was closed, which I was really upset about. But Zumanjaro was open for some reason. The drop tower on the side of it, that's never open. What else was closed? Superman was closed. Green Lantern was closed. Blue Hawk and Great American Scream Machine or whatever, like all the stuff in that corner was closed. The Skull Mountain was closed. The Ferris wheel was closed. Sky Ride was closed. All the water rides, of course. And a couple other things I'm probably not remembering right now. But I got on, what did I get on? I got on the Joker, and I got on the Twixter, and then I got on Zumanjaro, and then I did El Toro, which was really cool. It was my first time on that because it was closed the last few years after the incident. And then I went on Medusa, which I thought was a new coaster because I was like, oh, what's this other green one? It's not Green Lantern. I was like, it must be new. And then when I was on it, I was like, wait a minute, this is exactly the same thing as Bizarro. So it's just a re-theming of Bizarro, which is weird. But I went on that, and then I went on... So none of those had terribly long lines. I only waited the Joker I waited a little bit. I waited like 15 minutes for the Joker. But all the other ones... Medusa, I waited maybe 10 minutes. It was like 8 or 9 minutes. And El Toro, I waited maybe 8 minutes too. Zumanjaro was like 5 minutes. Twixter was a walk-on. So none of those were too long. And then I got to... So I was excited. Like, I thought I was going to get on everything multiple times. Then I went on The Dark Knight. And that was a walk-on. That's a cool little ride. It feels like I went on one other thing before. I got food. That's what it was. So, yeah, maybe not. But anyway, so then I got to the back of the park, and I got Nitro. That line was crazy. I waited almost an hour for Nitro. It's a hell of a ride. but I just wish the wait time wasn't so. It caught me off guard how long it was because none of the other ones were that long. And then after that, I went on the Jersey Devil, which is another one of my favorites. And that line, there weren't that many people in line, so I didn't think it was going to be too long. But that actually ended up being the longest one of all. I waited 75 minutes for that. And it turns out the reason was because for St. Patrick's Day weekend, they had these green wristbands that people had, and anyone wearing a green wristband got one free re-ride on each ride. So when we got up to the loading platform, I noticed some people weren't getting off. They were staying on, and I was like, how do they let them do that? And it turns out it's because of the green wristband. I didn't realize it at the time. I thought it was like, for certain people or whatever, like a VIP experience or something, because nobody told me that at the entrance. I didn't see anything for it. I didn't know that was going on, but on my way out, I actually saw a sign at the front that said, redeem your green wristbands here, so maybe I could have gotten one. I don't know, I would have had a much different experience then. But anyway, so that's why it was so long. So by then, it was almost time to, make my way back to the front to call an Uber. So I had time for one more ride, and then I wanted to use my second meal before I left. So I was like, time for one more ride and food. Plus the park closed at 6 anyway, so it was about to close. But I would have had to leave then anyway. So the only other things open were Batman, the Wonder Woman claw ride, and Justice League. And I think that's it. But I got in line for the Justice League, and then I ended up getting out of line because it was taking too long. And I really wanted to go on Batman, but I just ran out of time. So then I just got food again, and then headed to the front because I had to get my sack from the locker, and I had to figure out where the Uber was going to pick me up because, the park was closed, so I didn't think they were going to get through the parking thing, and they had barricades all up, so I had to figure it out. So I ended up waiting a little bit for an Uber. And for a while, I thought I was going to be, late for the flight, because the flight was at 8:45, and I didn't get out of the park till 6:30, and it took an hour and a half. By the time I got there, it was, 7:45, and everybody says, oh, you got to, get to the airport 2 hours before the flight, or, whatever. So I was a little stressed about it, I was like, oh, man, I can't miss this flight. So I got there to the airport. I already had a digital boarding pass because I signed in through the link that they sent me. So I knew, which gate it was, the terminal, all that stuff. So they dropped me off at Terminal A or whatever. And, literally, no exaggeration, it was 13 minutes from when I stepped out of the Uber to when I was in my seat on the plane. 13 minutes. To get through security, I just walked right through and, went through the lobby. I even used the bathroom too. And my gate that it was departing from was the farthest down it could be. So I went from one end of the airport to the other, just walking through. And boarding didn't start till, I guess boarding started at 8:05, so it was right around that time, but they still started a little bit early. And then by the time I got to my gate, they were just announcing that they were starting boarding, so I didn't even sit down. I just went right through the thing, right into the plane. And so my seat, carried, set down my sack, and buckled in. And the plane left a little bit early. Well, it left the gate early, but then we just sat on the runway for 20 minutes. So it ended up being right about the same time. And that was my first time flying at night too. So that was definitely a different experience than during the day. And that was equally as fascinating, especially in the beginning, because we did a 360 spin going up, and I got to see the whole New York City skyline at night from way up in the sky, and it was like awe-inspiring. And then the whole rest of the flight from New York to Florida was over the ocean. So since it was nighttime, I couldn't see anything. It was just black. So that was a little bit more boring, I guess you could say, but I was still just looking at the map the whole time because you're moving so fast. And so then eventually, I saw the Florida coast come into view, and then just moved inland. Like, that was fascinating too, going over Florida at night. And then we got to the Orlando airport like a little before midnight. And then I had to find an Uber, and that actually took the longest to get an Uber from the airport. I tried Uber, Lyft, I tried all of them, and there were no drivers. I ended up waiting like a half hour for someone to pick me up. And then my car was at Chai's place, which is actually farther from the airport than me, so it was a more expensive Uber, and then I also had to drive from his place to mine. So I didn't get home till like 1:15 a.m. And then I found out that day too, while I was at the park, I think, that I got assigned a 10 a.m. appointment in Ormond Beach, which is almost 2 hours away from me. And because Monday is one of my shift days. I'm not sure if that was the case already when the last one of these, but Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday are my days that I run appointments. Well, I'm on shift all day, so like I don't schedule any self-gen LOIs or closes or anything like that, because I got to be on standby in case an appointment comes through, because you never know when they're going to be or where they're going to be. So, but the morning ones, generally you get notice the evening before. So I got notice at 10 a.m. And I was like, oh man, of course. Like, I already haven't gotten sleep the last 2 or 3 nights in a row. And I was finally like looking forward to sleeping in, finally getting a full night's sleep. And now I got to get up at 7:30 in the morning, even though I didn't get to sleep till 2. Because it's not even my fault. Like, the plane landed when it did. I had to wait for the Uber. Like, I couldn't have made it work any earlier, except if I chose an earlier flight. But then I wouldn't have been able to do what I did. But if I would have known that I'd have a 10 a.m. appointment Monday, I might have done the earlier flight. But anyway, so I didn't get much sleep that night either. Sunday night, and then Monday I ended up like sleeping right to the limit. I slept until 8:30, and the appointment was at 10. So I got up, I put clothes on, and I got in the car, and I left at 8:35, and I made the 2-hour drive in 80 minutes, and I got there right at 10. And I was still kind of out of it. I brought some energy drinks for the drive home, so I chugged like 2 energy drinks on my way to the appointment. And I had to pee in a cup too, because I didn't have time to like stop to use the bathroom, but obviously from drinking all that liquid I really had to pee, so I had to just pee in a cup on the highway. But so I got there at 10 a.m. I went through the thing. I ended up getting the LOI, but the guy's going out of town the next day, and he doesn't know when he's going to be back, so I don't know when I can close him. But I might have to do it virtually. We might have to do like a video call or something. I could just send him the paperwork, have him sign. I'd still have to go back though for the rest of the pictures, but I could just do that when his wife's there. Then we have to set up his account though. I don't know how that would. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But yeah. So I got that one, and then I checked my calendar, and there was nothing else. So I drove all the way back home. So I got up extra early just for that, and then I got home, and then I ended up being stopped on the highway for a while. I guess it was an accident or something, so I didn't get home until 2 o'clock. And it's like, well, I'm not going to go back to sleep now, but I was too tired to do anything. So I just waited. It's like I wanted to go out to field and knock doors, but I also knew I was on shift, so I didn't want to be in a home and then miss the notification that there's an appointment in an hour that's an hour away from me, because that's what they did to me the last bunch of times. So I was like, no, I'll just stay here and just keep my eye on the notifications and wait for an appointment to pop through. And like most of them are in the evening anyway, so if I already got a 10 a.m. one, like it must be a busy day. I'm probably gonna get 3 or 4 more in the afternoon and the evening. And I waited all day and nothing. I didn't get a single appointment the rest of the day, so I ended up just sitting around at home. But I did get to bed early Monday night though, so I finally got caught up on sleep. And so that was yesterday. So today is Tuesday. So then I woke. We had to be at the meeting an hour early though, so I still woke up on my own at 8, but I didn't have time to do my morning routine. So that was the sacrifice. It was either that or cut my sleep short. So I needed to catch up on my sleep, so I just didn't do my morning routine. I got up and I left, and we're doing this battery training this week to get certified to sell batteries for the solar systems. And it's like batteries are even more complicated than solar panels, and you have to be certified in order to sell those. Otherwise we can only do the regular solar system, and if they want batteries, then we got to notify management, which for me would be either Tyson or Jarrell, and then have them schedule a time to go back with them to set them up with the batteries. So I haven't done that yet, but so every like 3 or 6 months or whatever, they do this corporate company-wide live battery training. That's 2 days. It's Tuesday and Friday. So it's over the week, and then after the second one on Friday, there's a quiz, and if you pass the quiz, then you're battery certified, and if you don't, then you have to wait for the next training cycle. So they just told us this yesterday, and so today we did that, and it's 3 hours Tuesday and 3 hours Friday, so it was from 9:30 to 12:30. And we had to be in the office to do that, and the Wi-Fi kept cutting in and out, and the call kept dropping, and people are talking over it and stuff, so I didn't get to absorb 100% of it. So I don't know if I'll pass the quiz or not. But honestly, I'm not even too worried about it, because I'm not like, I wouldn't really like sell that many batteries already, because they're expensive. There's not a no-cost program for the batteries, so my whole angle is saving people money with solar panels, and that's why they do it. So it would completely undo that to give them something that's more expensive than their electric bill. But I understand the advantages of it and stuff like that. I just think it's for very specific scenarios, like only a few percent of people that would actually, like, that it would make sense for and be worth it for. But for the average person, I wouldn't recommend batteries. It's not like I'm trying to sell batteries to everyone. So I'm not too worried about it. Nobody at the office is battery certified except Tyson and Jarrell. I feel like they kind of have to be, though, being in management. And they sell batteries occasionally. Maybe like 1 in 10 solar deals. But nobody else does. Well, nobody else can, technically. So I had to take a bunch of notes and do that. And then I stopped by the house to eat, because I still don't have money until I get paid on Thursday, which I'll get paid just for the one close I got last week. But until I don't have any money, so I couldn't afford to get food out. So I just went home, made myself some food, and straightened things up a little bit at the apartment. And then I went out to field, since I'm not on shift today, and I didn't have any other appointments. I just went out to field and I knocked doors from 3 to 9, because it's light out late now. It's light out till like 8:30. So, and then I came home. I was home by like 10. I just made some food, and then I did this. So now you're all caught up to speed. except for, I guess, the days before the gala. I'm not sure exactly what day I did the last one of these, but I feel like it was not too long before the gala. So, I mean, my work week, I wish I knew the exact day, because I do remember each day the previous week, but I don't really think it's that relevant to give a minute by minute breakdown of each day. I don't think that's what this is supposed to be about. But I've already done an hour of doing exactly that. Yeah, let me think. What else is on my mind? Anything? Not really, man. I'm looking forward to the leads. I got two already for tomorrow. I have a 12 p.m. and a 3 p.m. already confirmed, so there'll probably end up being more come through in the morning. So I should have a full day booked with leads. And then I already booked 2 appointments for Thursday, self-gen, from knocking today. So hopefully those pull through. And I gotta close something by Friday, so in order to get paid next week. So so I gotta get at least 1 or 2 LOIs tomorrow from these outreach appointments, and schedule to close for Friday. I should be able to do that, because then Saturday I'm on shift all day. So, but I got another close that I'm tentatively supposed to go to this week in Kissimmee. It was an outreach appointment. I did the LOI. We scheduled the go back. I went back, presented to him, and he was like, "Yeah, this looks good. I'm probably gonna do it, but I just need to read it all over first before I sign it." And I was like, "Oh well, you got 7 days to cancel." And he's like, "Yeah, I just want to read it over." I'm like, "All right, I'll sit right here." He's like, "No, I'm tired right now, but just give me a few days." So I'm like, okay, that was Friday, actually. It was the day before the gala. And I was really looking forward to closing that one too, so that I could get paid this week and I'd feel better, about spending money at the gala. But so he's like, "Oh yeah, come back." He wanted me to come back Sunday, but I told him I'm gonna be gone all day Sunday. So I'm like, and I knew I was on shift Monday, so I was like, "Yeah, I can come by Tuesday, after the meeting on Tuesday." And so he texted me this morning, and he was like, "Hey, I'm running late from work today. I'm not gonna make it today." So I was like, "All right, well, so." But he's still interested, it seems like, so I'll still be able to close him. It's just never convenient for me to go down, because it's almost Point Siena, it's so far away from everything, and the traffic's always terrible whichever way you're coming from, and there's no way around it. So it takes 2 to 3 hours. It's not like I can't tie it in with anything. So it would have to be it's the only thing I do that day, basically. So, I can't go back tomorrow. I can't go back there. Maybe Friday would be the next day after the meeting. So hopefully I can close that one and then close another one on Friday, and and then set myself up for some closes next week. So, as long as we get it going now, then it'll be all right. But I just got to get some money coming in, and then I'll feel better. So everything's kind of on hold right now until I have money, because I have $12 in the bank right now, and all my credit cards are maxed. So I can't spend any money. But just one more day, I gotta make it through tomorrow, and then Thursday morning I'll get paid at least $1,200 to $1,500, but that's gonna be already spoken for. And I gotta start saving for my rent again. It's due on the 1st, so I'm only gonna have one more paycheck. So next week's paycheck's gonna be my last one in March. So I basically have until I just have this week. Whatever I do these next few days are going to determine what that last paycheck's going to be, and determine if I can make my rent or not. So, important stuff. Anyway, it's getting near my bedtime now. I gotta start winding down. So, but yeah, wow. If you've been listening to me ramble on and give a minute by minute account of my week for the last hour, you must be a real dedicated fan. So, thank you for your devotion. And I know what it's like though, just to like listen to people talk. You know, I'm the same way. So that's comforting, I guess, to know that I'm not alone. But let's be honest, he probably either just skipped through to different parts or he fell asleep with this on, and you're just probably waking up now. Maybe not even. But whatever the case may be, I appreciate the views, I appreciate the watch times, and I definitely appreciate your comments more than anything. No matter what they are. But yeah, it's warming up now, so I don't know how many more of these they're gonna be. But you know, even if it's warm outside, I can still do like life update videos or something. It's not a huge deal. But yeah, I'll keep you guys in the loop. Things are looking up though, so I'm looking forward to seeing how the next few weeks go. Could be big things in store. And then my birthday is coming up too. April 23rd is my birthday, so that's about a month away now. But alright, well, until next time, take care everybody, and good night.